Hey Bobby, it's Buck. It's Tuesday about noon. Sorry I've been out of town since Sunday afternoon, just getting back last night. So sorry it took me so long. I tried to send the video earlier via Sandra at the back end of her video. I hope that she got that. Just let me know if you did. The two setup keys that we talked about was ball position and posture. In a perfect world, I would like to see the ball position just left to center. I think this is a 7 or an 8 iron. I can't remember, but that's where I would like to see it. In any stick sports, you really need to get your body more behind the golf ball in order to get the handle more forward at impact, because you're going to be ahead of it and have to throw it and cast it early, which causes thin and fat shots. So you have to play catch up, in other words. Posture is going to affect your path because you're not going to have a lot of room to swing the club. In evidence, when you come back down, let's just stay on path and so forth, there's no way you can get that club back on the right plane. You're going to be very high and steep with your hands, and the club should actually be inside that plane, and the hand should be on that blue line. So that's why you could actually push it, you could hook it, but your angle of attack is also going to be affected as well. This was a block out to the right because you're trying to save the club from this position because everything's too high. As you can see, you're late getting to your left side and your hips clearing out of the way here. That needs to happen much sooner than what's happening in your swing. So in your address position with the ball back, this camera angle moved a little bit, so I'm going to redo that one and show you that your tendency is, because you start ahead of it, that you get your body too far out in front. You can tell that you're crowded with your arms. Left elbow is now bent, right elbow stuck behind your hips, so you end up flipping the club under, increasing loft. That's what we call a scoop. So you could hook it, slice it, and hit it very high from that position. So you can see how your arms are really tracking really close to your body there. If I gave you a visual of a model to posture, let me do that real quick. No rush here. I don't teach till 1. So if you look at Adam Scott compared to you in posture, and you guys are pretty close to same height, you're a little bit heavier, I think, but in a good way, in an athletic way. But you can tell that his spine angle from his hips is more this way, flexion is this way, and in your case, it's your butt's tucked under, back's more rounded, and so forth. So when I put the lines up on the elbow plane, which is right through the middle of the back, and which I did with Adam, what you'll see is his arms and clubs stay much more in front of his body, and that's about as far as he can go from that position. What happens when you're crowded and tucked under and you lack space, the typical thing is you over-rotate hips, arms gets behind you, and then you overswing the club, which really creates a lot of slack, and in turn creates much more of an arms and hands swing versus the efficiency of getting your arms and your body to work more together, which is a lot less effort. So when you get the club back to parallel to the ground, you can see where Adam is and where you are. You guys are both about parallel with the shaft. You can tell his hands are on the plane, your hands are away from the plane, partly because of the spacing that you started with. Club face is actually pretty square, and the club head is not too far from the plane, but it causes the shaft to point more toward the right of the target out in this position. So if you don't flip it correctly, it goes out to the right. So anyway, again, the setup changes are the most critical. We did talk about your grip as well. You play with a pretty strong grip, so therefore the face, in your case, has a tendency to be a little bit more shut in the swing versus Adam's. So it's more closed there, more closed there, steep and closed there, and then it kind of reopens a little bit, and then it's starting to close again, and then you try to shut it down at impact. And Adam really doesn't have to do a lot of face rotation with his club there. And you can tell that his chin is released, his hips have released, his chest is released, everything's kind of toward the target. If you stay down too long, you just won't turn as quickly as you could. Let me see if I can find your face on view, so just give me a brief second here. I don't remember who we used, but I think it was Lydia, which is a pretty good example of setup to ball position to sequence of the golf swing. She's hitting an 8-iron here, so you can tell that she's behind the ball, and I don't think you'll see anybody on tour anyway, or a great ball striker that sets up with the ball behind center unless they're hitting a pitch shot, chip shot, or kind of hitting a half swing punch shot into the wind of something of that nature. So we got to get you more behind that ball. You'll also see that her legs and hips don't turn as much early. They actually shift to the right instead of losing that flexion in the left knee there, which creates an over rotation of your hips, which now is going to really be tough on you to get your hips back to open up first. And you can see the difference in the length of the swing there. So you're fighting to catch up, and then you get stuck on the way down. So it's harder for you to compress the ball and hit it on the downswing because of being in front and flipping it up in the air. She's going to compress it, catch turf, extend and rotate her hips and chest and arms together, and you can tell you're flipped under with your wrist there, with not a lot of rotation of the face, and we got to get more rotation of that face. Any of the models that I use, I think you could see the commonalities. Here's Trevor Immelman, who won the Masters. I think he's hitting an 8-iron here. Similar ball position, similar head position at address. We'll talk about his posture here in just a second, but you just they set up to be, very compact and athletic and efficient. When you set up with your butt tucked under and you're too close to the ball, it creates a whole host of sequence issues. The over rotation of the hips, you can tell that the face is shut because of the grip. Really never get behind the ball, and he's behind it, so you can see that he gets a lot more forward shaft lean. You're actually going to flip it up in the air, not a lot of turf, and you can see a bunch of turf here. And let your chin, chest, and hips go. Turn on your engine. Down the line view, I'll see if I can find you again real quick. I can't remember the number now. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's 802 or 803 if I'm not mistaken. Let's see if we can do it. I got to keep talking here. It'll cut me off. So forgive me to find the down the line just in one more comparison. I'm hurrying, but nothing's in order. So it's not helping me here. Here we go. All right, so again, athletic, space, back flatter, just more athletic, but more back. Engage your glutes and your quads. If you look at the beginning of the takeaway, very similar to Adam Scott, you will see the club move more straight back instead of around. And when you get the club around like that, you can see you lose the flexion in your right knee. So you lose the stability to use the ground when your right knee straightens too much. If you maintain the flex and keep the spacing in your arms and wrist, you don't get that slackiness at the top. So you're going to see his hips will pull his chest, which swing his arms, which everything moves through more together. And in your case, it's going to be hips go underneath you, which is where they started. move closer to the ball so your arms get stuck behind you, and then the left through impact. All right, buddy, hope you get this. I think you have my phone number, or you can call me, text me, let me know. Looking forward to seeing you guys soon. So a week or two. Just love to see you. Take care. Tell Sandra I said hi. Bye.